Now, shopping done. Sticker in reverse and make sure there's no one behind me. Tour number 3 of Anouv coming up. We can wave goodbye to the dirty O'Mahony's and the Tones. Get me fans and everything working so my windscreen doesn't fog up on me. And we're away. So, I like doing the shopping, I'm not going to lie to you. The reason I think I like doing the shopping is because it puts me more in control of what my kids eat. Herself, God bless her, is in the habit of, buying shite, to be honest. Kind of processed foods and such. And as the old cliche goes, if either you yourself don't want to be eating as much, shitty processed foods or chocolate or crisps or fizzy drinks or pick your poison, whatever it is. And by default, if you don't want your kids growing up on a diet of fucking frozen pizzas and ready meals and all this other muck that you wouldn't give a dog, if either you don't want to be eating that or you don't want your kids to be eating that, don't have it in the fucking house in the first place. Make the decision not to eat that stuff once when you're shopping. On my right hand side here, I have what would have been a filling station once upon a time. We're on Bruce Hill now. The filling station is long gone. Brendan Rogers' place, myself, worked there as the past guest in front of the show, Pat O'Reilly. On my right, we're just passing it now, is what was the Lyric Cinema. Thankfully, there's things called preservation orders, which means you just can't knock down a historic part of a town and build whatever the hell you want. They at least make you keep the facade, which I think is important, because without that, I think towns and villages and the like would lose a certain amount of their soul. So even if it is only the facade of it, I think it's important to preserve the history of a town, essentially. On the left-hand side of Tour of Navan wouldn't be complete without mentioning the China Gardens. Shout out to Michelle. She's been running the show in there for fucking donkey's years. She must be there 30 years, and the rest probably. On the right then we have O'Flaherty's, now Larry and Nora's, I do believe it's called. Oh fuck, Mug and Bean Coffee, that's new. There's these coffee shops sprouting up all over the place. It's a strange one. But yeah, we're at the Boyle Sports on the corner here to our left again. And the Loft, I mentioned Aidan Cosgrave rather, used to be the head chef in there. It's a fucking shame, because I often wondered, what happened to the Loft? It was an upstairs restaurant over there, and it did good food, so long as Aidan was the chef there. It did great food, and it was a nice place to be. I always thought it was a bit dimly lit, a bit dark. You'd struggle to fucking see what was on your plate. I'm all for mood lighting and keeping the lights low and all the rest of it. But I mean, in a fucking restaurant, you should be able to see what you're eating. But anyway, some Chinese man owns that now, and he's just sitting on it, waiting for the price of it to increase, which is just fucking abhorrent. But anyway, Gagan's on the right. That's an institution of the town that's been here forever. I don't think I mentioned the little town hall here on the right hand side. Another shout out to Jaxie Kieran's The Gate, a cafe that's been there forever. CT Nutrition, I don't know if that lad is closed, but he's certainly never open, which is a shame, because I used to buy my protein powder out of there. Gardener's Choice, a nice spot. You used to be able to cut through to the sports den in there. Tara Cleaners here, 100 years. Lockie's on my right. The Central, good spot in Navan, I'm not going to lie to you, for lunch and dinner. And a few pints, even to watch a game on occasion, it's not too bad. I would usually go straight on, but in the spirit of things, I'm going to swing a left and not knock down this man crossing the pedestrian crossing. Millbrook Foods, I must actually get onto them, because they could potentially be a customer of mine. They supply restaurants and shops, the complete food service. So I am a vertical farmer by trade. I grow what I call microgreens. And I'm sure but judging by the size of that truck, they must at least buy a pallet a week, which is kind of my minimum. I don't know what's going on here. Did I fucking go down a one-way street or something? Because, here I may turn, because there's no way I'm going to get through there. Insomnia on the corner, that's relatively new. The cinema has been there for an age. Jesus wept, this is a tight spot. Chopped again, relatively new. There's a snooker hall actually up there. Is it above or beside the cinema? I'm not entirely sure, but it's a place that I've been meaning to go to, because it'd be a nice place to spend an evening, and I can hold a pool cue. I'm not going to lie to you, I can play a bit of snooker. I'm not fantastic, but it's one of those things that I can do. Now, I want to turn right here, and there's nothing telling me that I can't. But I mean, there's only space for one set of cars, and there's lights, so maybe it's guided by the lights. Guided by the lights. Yeah, doing a bit of a U-turn here now. This is a proper tour of Navan. We have the zip yard, relatively new again, and there's a proper view of, it's called Today's. You see Tiernan's beside it. The sign says, for what that's worth, Ireland's oldest family newsagents. Established, if I squint, 1895, serving the public established in 1895, serving the public through 3 centuries. There's not many shops or businesses in the world that can say they're serving their customers 3 centuries. Probably a bit of poetic license there, but anyway, fair play, up the boys and down the points. I went left here, which is where I want to go, but I'm going to go right here and head down by the Palace. That fucking tour of Navan wouldn't be a tour of Navan without mentioning the Palace. Curry's there on the corner. Now Everard's, Apache Pizza. I was going to say the finest food in Navan, but that's Vico's Grill. Everybody knows that. What else do we have down here? There used to be a vape shop or something that sold bongs and bits and pieces. I don't know if it's still here. The Palace is on our right hand side. On the left we have Birmingham's. Marmingham's, as it's also known. The Foundry. What the fuck was the Foundry called? It's a bit of a rap pub, I think. Can't remember what it used to be called off the top of my head. Newgrange on the left, Newgrange Hotel. Solar. The Protestant church on my right, which I've never been in. I must actually make it my business, because I literally have never seen the inside of the place, and I'm a fan of churches. I despise the Catholic Church with a passion, but anyway, I digress. Lizards or Malays on the left. Beggies, P. Clark's, Jesus wept, it's changed hands a number of times. Speaking of places that have changed hands a number of times, Renvac, that certainly hasn't changed hands ever. The same owl boy has been in there as long as I'm going in there, which is a long time, and I think he's there, I don't know, fucking 100 years. He's at least 140. So if he started when he was 40, it'd make sense that he's there about 100 years. Academy Cars, is that what it's called? I've never stepped foot onto the forecourt of that place, let alone inside it. Europe car, van rental, never was in there either. So you can see the gable end of a house at about, as near as makes no difference, between 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock, say. There's a kind of a cream coloured building. I believe some poor woman was stabbed to death in there only very recently. I don't know the details of that. But I'm not going to get too morbid, because the last tour in Navan I did included a popular suicide spot and a food kitchen. Food kitchen, is that what they were called? Doesn't sound right. It's one of those things that just doesn't sound quite right. The Boyne is to our right. We're driving along. This is the bypass of Navan, believe it or not. Not much of a bypass considering that it goes straight through the fucking town. But anyway, welcome to Meath County Council. On the left we have the back of the Newgrange Hotel. And I don't know what all those apartments in there on the left are called. Another place that I've never really been in. The red brick building, if you can see it in the very centre of the picture above that Northern Reg Jag, is the back of the Meath Chronicle's offices, I presume. I don't know if they're used anymore at all. If you swing a right at the lights up here, that'll bring you out the Atlumney Road. I lived in Atlumney for a good while. That's where I met, Jesus, who did I meet up there? Past guest and friend of the show, Graham Mackin. I lived beside him in Atlumney Castle. Dave Webster, Louis Webster and Tony Webster were in the Orchard. I met Darren McElroy up there in Castleview, where I lived with past guest and friend of the show, Pat O'Reilly. What else is out that road? Me and Gene Gaffney's. Yeah, weird when I was in the cash and carry earlier on, and Gene Gaffney is working in there, which is a bit of a random one. I'd say he's there for something to do more than needing the money, but anyway, on our left we have the back of the Watergate or something it's called now. I can't even remember what that was called. It was called Snorty 1 at one point. It was called 41 obviously, but because of all the people doing cocaine in it, people nicknamed it Snorty 1. I can't remember what it was called before it was called that. Straight in front of me we have a block of apartments that I have been in. A mate of mine, Neil Riley, used to live in there. Shout out to Schmudley and Block. I'm going to be turning right now shortly up Flower Hill. That's that Can Tandoori restaurant to the left of the screen, if you can see it there. And as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to knock this off and bid you guys adieu. And on that note, I'll chat to you soon.